Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm in Verona and I'm connected with a friend in Rome. All right, now there are some people who don't even know much about how Rome is going this morning. Can you share anything with us and a little presentation of yourself too? Hello and welcome to Obehi podcast. I'm your host, Obehi Ewanfo, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
My name is Evaristus Ogbechie. I come from Nigeria. I'm here in Rome, a very sunny day, and we can't wait for the winter to.
So tell us a little bit about your blogging. What do you blog about?
Okay, I blog about current affairs, like social issues, problematics, and especially as it concerns Nigerians, Africans, and the Black race in general.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get started blogging? Why did you blog? So what is even the importance of it?
Yeah, okay. I used to own a website, which talked basically about my career as a filmmaker and an actor. But that was years ago. And I remember, you had a need to pay for the domain. So, there was an annual fee, you had to pay to the guy who helped you develop the site and so on. And okay, now the differential is that with blogging, you don't really need to depend on somebody, You can just, like I have done, and with the WordPress, I don't know if you've heard about them, WordPress group, they're like creators of, they have this domain where you can freely, join them and, you can create any kind of blog. So it could be on tourism, on food, on medicine, on health, anything you choose, politics or whatever. But then you don't get paid unless you get registered, so you can monetize your content. And now it depends on, how many followers you have and all of that, the stats on the blog.
Can you help us understand what is your strategy? Of course, I have a number of websites that I'm hosting on WordPress.org, which of course I bought the domain in some other places, and I'm hosting it in WordPress.org, not .com. So tell us, what is your strategy? What do you intend to get from your blog?
So I write about basically my opinions, my viewpoints regarding some social issues, some news, current affairs, everything from politics through traditions to cultures and, immigration, racism, whatever, If it makes the news, I talk about it. I want to talk about it and give my opinion.
So how did you get started blogging? Because I want to believe that, you do also other things, then you also do blogging. I want to understand how the passion grew from you.
Okay, my first website really was as a filmmaker. It was like Readership.com and all of that. That was years back, which I had somebody develop for me. That was a situation where you had to go back to the builder to update, as you want to put new things on the website. But back in 2017, I just found this thing about blogging and I got interested in it. And, my thing was to talk about social issues and, give my opinions on them. And so I got to know about this group, the WordPress group. It's an English, group of website builders who have this policy. They give you a chance to create something with them, and you can even do it for free. So if you can create a site And it's like whatever domain it is, dot WordPress, it means that you could do it for free. But then if you want to monetize it, you need to register with them, and the registration comes to about $100 per year, whatever.
I see. So for how long have you been doing this blogging now?
I started back in 2017, but something curious happened. When I started, after about 2 months, I forgot my password, and so I kind of lost interest with time. I didn't go back to it until sometime last year. I just said, no, I need to get back to this. That was like summer last year during the lockdown, since there wasn't really much.
It appeared that the lockdown had a lot of effect on people.
On people,
Is that
yeah,
true?
that's it. Especially, yes, it's very true, because I found myself, having need to do something, around the house, and there was not much you could do. I really couldn't film anything because you couldn't even have people come around the house. I just, okay, I just went in and went back and recreated the blog with WordPress, and yeah, I've been doing it ever since, and it's been going fine. I'm so happy with results already.
When you say result, what do you mean actually? Explain to me what you mean by the result.
Okay, the first thing is the fact that you part with the idea that you want to send across a message. Okay, you want to put across a message, and so you write something about something, and somebody reads it. Okay, and from one person, you find yourself having thousands of readers. I mean, that's a good result already. But then the most important thing is having advertisers notice your blog. I'm like, as at now, I can tell you that I've had Team and Amazon and Netflix, everybody advertise on my blog. And it's crazy because what it really means is that I've been, I haven't monetized it, like I said, okay? So I haven't gotten a dime from it. But it's like there with WordPress, there's some money waiting for me. So as soon as I decide to monetize it, I'll get all the back payments and whatever,
All right, that's
And
interesting. Yeah, please
yeah.
go.
And so far I've written over 80 articles, I mean, there was a time I used to write maybe an article every 2 days or whatever. And I just, I didn't want to give too much, in one go. So I now I write an article every 4 or 5 days. Just to give time to my readers to digest what I have put out before I come with something new.
That's interesting. All right, now look, you are living in Italy. Okay, we are living in Italy because you are in Rome. I'm in Verona, so we are both in
Right.
Italy. So,
Sure.
looking at the larger diaspora community, the African community, how much importance do you think should be placed on blogging? Because, like you said before, it's a way for you to express yourself. It's a way for you to
Right.
put your opinion out there in the world. So,
Right.
what importance do you see in this aspect of our community?
Okay, blogging is really the avenue for the so-called conspiracy theorists, to put across their ideas. Okay, if you think about the fact that the mainstream media is controlled, like we all know, so you can't really have the real news. You can't find the real story on the mainstream because they give you the narrative they want you to know. And so if it's not in their will to give you the accurate news, you don't find it. So with blogging, you can have a situation where somebody who writes like I do, who really wants to put out the truth there, is only going to tell you what is true. It doesn't, erase the fact that there are still some bloggers who are used by the same kind of people to put across, fake news. You understand? But you have a situation like my case where I make sure I tell you, if it's white, I tell you it's white. If it's black, then it's black.
All right. And this truth, okay, this reporting, if we want to put it like that, or if we can even
Right.
say this your blogging, because you're going to be you are going to be hunting for material to be able to construct your story.
My story,
It
yes.
can be elaborate sometime.
Right.
So if that is the case, what is encouraging you to go on, even though, like you said before, you are not making money from it yet, but yet you continue to
Yes, yes.
write. So what is
Right.
motivating you?
The need to reach out and help somehow in the fight, in the ongoing fight between the good and evil in the world. You know, I mean, like I said earlier, through the mainstream media, um, you can find a lot of not real stories. Because the mainstream media, like we know, is controlled by a group of evil people. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to
And
understand it.
it becomes necessary for a group of people, to try to contrast this flow of um, not very healthy news from the mainstream. And that's why you need people with that passion to reach out and say, no, they are telling you that A is B, but please don't forget that A is A. Okay. I mean, like my audience for now, I have about 6,000 subscribers or whatever. But then it's nothing compared to the millions and billions but if you had a lot more people like me, then the 6,000 would, if you have 100,000 other subscribers talking about the same thing, it would become 600 million or something like that.
All right. I don't know if actually the mainstream media are just evil or they are reporting from a particular point of view that are not necessarily our point of view. Like for example, their propaganda machine, or they have always been used
Right.
like that for a specific interest. Say, for
That's a
example, the United States used the media coming from the United States to propagate the interest of the United States. I don't.
right.
That doesn't, of
And
course,
that's
make it evil. It just means that
no,
they are reporting their side of the story. And where this
no.
might be dangerous for us is that
Okay.
if we
Right.
expect that they tell our story, because we are not the one financing that media, they cannot tell our story because it just doesn't make sense that they should tell the story of Africa if we were to use it like that. So if that
No.
is what you mean by evil, okay, I quite understand it.
Okay. No.
Please.
What I meant is this. What I meant by evil is this. If somebody, okay, for instance, if somebody tells you that LGBT is good and nothing else is, you know what I mean? You don't have to believe what they tell you. If like me, you're a Christian and you know the truth, you know, and like we know, the truth is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You understand? And His teachings represent the truth. So if any other person is telling you something else that doesn't correspond with this, you can't call it good. That's definitely evil. Or like, okay, when the United States, or through their media and their propaganda media, tells you that imperialism is good, going over to another country to take what they have is good, but you know that it's bad because you're not supposed to steal. You understand? As a Christian, you're not supposed to steal. So if somebody tells you that stealing is good, you should know that they represent I don't want to say evil, but not good. Okay, so that's how it is. So
All
what
right.
I try to do is to give you that, idea which I know represents the good.
All right, fair enough. That is good. That is interesting. Which means that for the people of your side of the story, because like you say, making reference to even in the case of a court, where maybe for example you're in a court, there is always two sides
Yeah,
of the story, you know.
the counsel for the defendant and the counsel for the accuser are different. There are two lawyers, okay, and each of them is going to tell, in most cases, a lot of lies to defend their client. So it doesn't. The fact that they are telling lies doesn't make what they are saying the truth. So it now is left for the judge and jury to decide which side has told what resembles the truth. And in many cases, even the judge and the jury may be wrong. You know, in many cases, they may be influenced and they side with the defendant, who is, the evil person. You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
That is
so,
even very
so,
that is even very interesting. In that, okay, in this case now we have a set of lawyers who are for one side of the story. Then
or
we
the
have
other,
other lawyer on the other side of the
right?
story. So we
Yeah.
cannot expect the one that is defending A to come and be defending B also. It's not going to work now.
No, no,
So
but then there's the judge who will look at both, um, during the proceeding, he will look at both. I'd forgotten the legal word for it, the positions, okay, and then you decide who you think is right and who is wrong. You know, so
uh, uh,
that's it. So like I said, what I try to do is, you know, I I kind of have this passion to go and search for the truth. So when I get a story, I look into it, look at both sides, and my conclusion is usually based on what I perceive to be the truth.
Thank you so much for that. Actually, whether I'm going to use this one for the last time as a reference because you are the one that made me sure of with the case in the court, no? In that,
Right,
by the time the case is there, be trashed out, you have two opponents, no? One
right,
against the other. You are the accused. You can also be the accuser, no? So, which
right.
means that at the other side, you also have the people that are defending them, no? In the case of
That's it.
even law. So where I'm going here is that looking at the African diaspora,
Okay,
we should not expect other people to be telling our story for us. We should actually be using all the means we have to be telling our own story, to be
definitely.
the chief narrator of our situation. So this is where actually I'm going by trying to ask you what is the importance of blogging, of using the means that we have. Because now you didn't pay millions of dollars to be able to be on WordPress.com to start your
No,
blog, you know. You
no.
didn't need to go to Harvard to learn how to write.
To learn how to, no.
So this, because I'm trying to look at it that anybody can start this.
No, anybody, as it stands today, anybody can start a blog if you just have the basic knowledge of how to use the internet. Okay, you can start a blog. Like you go on WordPress, they ask you a series of questions. They you tell them what you need to do and all of that, and they have a platform. So you can get in, log in, and do your thing. You don't really need anybody to do it for you anyway. In fact, so when I hear these days of people who go to pay, like a friend of mine, a girl, she's an actress, recently paid somebody about 400 euro to build a website. I just told her, you're crazy. You don't need anybody to do your thing. You need to be able to do it so that you can wake up in the middle of the night and decide to, plug in a content. You understand? That's the way it is now. So I'm like, I write from my house, Well, I just, get my laptop and start writing anytime I want to. And, you publish it right there and all your subscribers get it the next minute. So it's really wonderful.
All right.
It's
Now,
wonderful.
Another aspect I'm trying to understand from this, since, like I said before, at this moment, we are trying to encourage more people to write because
Right.
we are writing, so we encourage people to write. Also, because
Yeah.
one of the things that we are learning, or we can say we have learned from this lockdown, is that we do have a lot of power in our disposal, but we don't know. We do have it. The
We
internet,
do. Yeah.
the internet is there for every.
Provides.
The internet
Yes.
is a leveler.
That's it.
So
It's a
whenever.
provider of this power to communicate. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So, can you tell me a little bit about your strategy? Because what we are telling people to do, the kind of we are basically creating content, even
Right.
for companies. Our content, the strategy is that we help people to create content, and we also help them
Okay.
to make money from it, not just for passion.
Right. Right.
Because we want people to be able to make money from what they do. That is our strategy in aclasses.org, for example. So
Okay.
tell me about the strategy of your blogging. Is it you want to just put your message there, or do you want at a point to make money from what you do? What is your
No.
strategy?
Okay. I just started by having, like, there was this urge to reach out and tell give your opinions on things that were happening. And but then you can't help but think about the business side of it, because as you grow, as the blog grows, you come to know that yes, you can really, and some people are making some really good money out of blogs. So yeah, initially I wasn't really driven by the urge to make money or something, but now that I've gotten to a stage where it's becoming recognized, like I said, by subscribers and now by advertisers, I know I have to do it. No, I would be playing the fool. You understand? So yeah, like sometime this month, really, I intend to start monetizing it.
Man, is it
Yeah,
even possible? Because I've never really used WordPress.com. Is it
yeah.
possible to monetize it there, or you need to move to .org as a point that you would need to have your own
No, no.
personal domain?
Yeah, that's what
Tell
you
me
do.
about that.
When you pay, when you register, then it becomes .org. You know what I mean? It becomes your own thing. So they remove the WordPress thing. You understand? So they kind of help you. Like I said, they help you to move to the next level, which is like now I have my this thing is ristusblog.wordpress.com. Okay. So by the time I monetize it, it's going to be ristusblog.com.
All right, that is very
Yeah.
important. In
Right.
that,
Right.
when you start making blog, I'm talking to all of you that are listening. When you want to, for you to be able to make money from your content, you need to own the space. Because if you are renting the space like Evaristus is doing just now, it will be
Right.
difficult for you to monetize it because it's
Right.
not your space, you are just renting it. So for you
Just
to be
renting.
able to monetize it, you need to be the owner of that space. And that means
Right.
buying a domain and hosting your content there. Also because the person that is hosting your content can one day have a problem, which means your site go out
Would
of
go,
service.
that's it. That's
But
it.
if
That's it.
you are the owner of the content, meaning that you have a copy of it, what you just need is to go to another hosting, plug your website, you are there in few minutes, sometimes even in few seconds, no? So
Right. Right.
I really find that one to be very interesting. And by the time you do that, I know you have not yet started monetizing it,
No. No.
Evaristus.
Right.
What knowledge can you share with our audience on how to go about starting a blog to start with? That is very important because you have done that.
Right. Okay. Now, so the thing is, you identify a topic of interest. Okay, or a group of topics of interest. So, like you had talked about earlier, if it's tourism, for instance, then you know what you're talking about. Is it tourism in Europe, or is it in Africa, or where? And then you have to know what you want to talk about. Like in my case, I talk about social affairs, social issues. So I talk about politics. So it might be as regards Africa, or the multicultural relationships, or whatever, whatever it is. So you just give your opinions but then you have to make sure you make some research. You don't have people, going to read what they know already. You understand? Or there has to be some element of newness to it. So there has to be, and everybody who reads my blog, for instance, knows that there's going to be a Evaristus in the story. So it's like my viewpoints are going to be critical in a way that, yes, he wrote this topic, something like that. So,
How much?
it's,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, I was trying to understand how much work is really supposed to be
needed.
put into this process of blogging or that is creating article, publishing them, and
Okay,
for
yeah.
you to
Like I said,
expect something at the end of the day. Of course, I understand that you need to put something, but how much effort actually is
uh,
required?
so okay, with me, it works this way. I get inspired, to write about a story, about something that's going on. But then I don't just go out and start writing, You have to do a minimum of research. So it's based on, the education you have. So there are things I know already, okay? But then there are things I need to reach out and, find on the net too or whatever, And yeah, and you just like try to be critical in everything you write. So like I said, don't just write lame stories, but write, with some kind of personalized viewpoint. Just like at the university, you had to write a thesis, okay? And in your thesis, you're expected to have your own viewpoints, but then you now try to be as factual as possible. So it's not just writing anything, but writing what makes meaning. Because that's why the reader will come back to read your next article. You understand? And that's the same reason an advertiser would want to put his advert right there. Because he knows it's an interesting topic, it's an interesting writing style, and that people of a certain category want to go and read it. And
All
the
right,
net is the net. So yeah.
These days, people talk about niche, 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 and niche everywhere. How much role does niche play in setting up a blog? Looking at your blog, for example, was it
Yeah.
something that was easy for you to decide, or is something that you decide after you have started putting content out there? So tell us about your personal experience.
Okay, initially, like every other thing, you get better when you do something. Okay. So you start writing and then you get to know the tricks of the game. Okay. So it's like, a learning process. It's been a learning process too for me, Um, it's just like TikTok, TikTok has been around for a while now. And only last 2 weeks did I tell myself, come on, it's maybe another way of wasting time. You know what and so I just got into TikTok. And before you know it, I have some interesting content there already. So it's like you get to start doing something. It's like even like filmmaking, you start doing it and you just know you have some basic ideas. But as you delve into it, you get better. I'm like, initially, for instance, I didn't know that on my blog I could use, you have some free um, pictures, there are some free pictures you could use on your blog. So you don't have to pay for pictures. Initially, I remember the first time I wrote an article and wanted to use a picture of Mario Balotelli, the footballer. I went on Google, wrote Mario Balotelli images, and I got a series of images. You can't believe it. One I wanted to use, um, they needed me to pay $275 to get it, and I was like, go to hell. I said, how can I pay? How can I pay 250? But for the same thing, I later got to know that I could have had some free pictures of, maybe even the same Mario somehow in this catalog. So that's, that's how it works. So you get to find a lot of these things as you work, And,
So
yeah, somebody may
they are part
choose.
of the trade at the end of the day, no?
That's it. That's it. Because, like I said, WordPress provides you everything you need. But then initially they look so complicated, There are so many. But then with time, you learn a few tricks at a time, and
All
before you
right,
know, you
all right.
become good at it. Yeah, yeah.
All right, now let's look at the branding of it now, because you were saying something important before that when somebody
Right.
take out your article to read, they know that this article is written by Evaristus, which is very
That's it.
important.
Yeah.
Now, before the person start reading, there are, of course, a lot of things that are happening around it because they see the picture, they see the way you title and all that. Of course, there are a lot of
Yeah,
things
the
really
titles.
going on
Sure,
there.
sure. The title,
Uh,
yes, yeah.
Now, let's look at message as one of the branches of branding. If you were to
Okay.
describe your blog in maybe 3 or 4 phrases, what would you say?
Okay. A candid look at social issues.
All
Yeah.
right, this is some.
Just,
This is something that you already understood before you started, or is this something that you understood along the way?
no, I have always known that if I want to give an advice or say something in public, it has to represent the truth. It has to represent the truth. It's one thing to talk with friends, so you could like say whatever, okay? But if you're talking to a wider audience, you have to be careful what you say. So like remember the last time we spoke, we talked about the ongoing pandemic. Remember my views then, they haven't changed, and that's one thing that's important with blogging. You have to have those kind of, I don't want to say hardcore, you know, ideas, and you don't have to change, because if you read my first articles and there was like 80 articles ago, and you read my latest, you find the similarities in them. So my views have not changed on so many things. My views have not changed on so many things.
Anyway, yeah, sometimes the view actually can
They
change. It
could
depends.
change.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that is very
yeah.
relative, as it were, no? I want
I
to
know,
believe.
I know. But with me, yeah, because it just shows the strength of character. You know what I mean? So the Evaristus that started the blog is the Evaristus of today. So it's not like I'm going to tell you tomorrow, okay, that maybe, you know, um, it was right to, I don't know, okay, I don't want to get into that again, but, but there are things, yeah, 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 because I still believe, like I believed 6 months ago, 1 year ago, that you shouldn't do certain things to your body. You understand? If you read, I have articles, at least I have an article on drug use and all of that, and I condemned it then, and I would condemn it today. So
All right,
that's
all
the
right, all
way.
right,
Yeah.
Evaristo. I get you. There are some key core value that you must keep. Those ones should
Yeah, you
never
must.
change. But of
Right.
course, there are some other things that change around that we also try to encourage from time to time, because if you don't change, then you remain what you are. And we really do not
No.
remain what we are, because when we were born, we were
Of
very small. We didn't know anything.
right.
Then we begin to
Yes.
have access to information. Based on that, our view begin to change. Of course,
Yes.
at a point, you have lines that you need to reinforce continuously, because
Yeah. Of course, life is all about changes, okay? But there are some values that never change. That's the thing. So I'm talking
I
about,
agree with you.
yeah, representing values. Some values are just like that. I'm like, respect for one's parents is a value that would never change, no matter what happens. You know what I mean? So no matter if you become the richest man tomorrow and whatever, you have to respect your parents.
Very important. That is very
Yeah. So
important.
that's my kind when I'm talking about not changing. Right now I used to use Facebook before they logged me out of Evaristus Ogbechie on Facebook because of the content of my topics, and the contents of my topics But now I use WhatsApp. I use, I use Instagram. When I mention the existence of my blog sometimes. For now I really haven't been doing much promotion of the blog, besides maybe posting a few articles on LinkedIn and on WhatsApp.
Looking at the readership that you have,
Right.
I don't know if WordPress.com does show you how many people are reading your blog, how many
Yeah,
people
they
are
have
engaging
stats.
with it. Yeah,
Yeah, they have
please.
stats. Yeah, they have stats. Yeah, I've surpassed 6,000, um, readers so far. So,
What did they
that's
tell you? A kind of a feedback to the content that you are
no,
creating.
they keep reminding me they have to monetize. They kind of keep reminding me that they have to monetize. Just, once in a while they write you and say, we think you should monetize this, you're doing good. We think you should monetize. Then I'm like waiting. I don't know really. I'm kind of waiting for some numbers, you understand? And yeah. But like I said, I'm about to do it now.
How do you remain consistent since there is a lot of work to do there? All the time you continue to write content. I mean, how do you remain consistent with your work on blogging?
Yeah, that's why, it really, it takes that passion and the preparedness to do it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like mentally ready to do it. So all I need now is the inspiration to write on a certain topic or another. You understand? So if I feel like, okay, like very soon there are going to be elections in Nigeria, and people are, you know, as confused as ever about who and what to look out for in a candidate, then maybe I feel like I want to write it now. So what I just go and, talk about it and kind of remind them of the qualities they should be looking out for, So, an honest, you know, human being, somebody who's learned enough to know what's going on in today's world, you know, somebody who has a past that can guarantee a future with him, and all of that.
I wanted to ask if you have any particular category of people that you are targeting with your content. I don't know, or maybe anybody can find you are writing for just any person.
Yeah, like I state in the introductory part of the blog, I write for basically anybody who wants to hear the truth. Okay, but then particularly for Africans like me who, you know, should know what is going on and what should be, and who cares to, help in effecting changes in our societies.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say you have learned so far? Because you've been doing it for some time now, and you are continuously doing it, which means you really have a strong zeal to continue it. So, but what
Right.
would you say you have learned so far?
And that when you embrace the truth, you win. You know what I mean? So you have your readers increase. You have the accolades because, of course, somebody calls in to say, I really love that article or whatever, or somebody comments, because since I use WhatsApp a lot, I have a lot of, friends and family telling me how much they liked an article or another. And that's rewarding enough. But then, like you were saying, if one can make money from it too, then I can't wait to do that one too.
We are come to the end of the episode. What would be your
Right.
final statement? Because we have discussed a lot of things here. For people that are listening to you, maybe they also want to take the same road that you are. So, what would be your final statement?
You don't to be a blogger, you don't really need anybody's help, if you can use the internet. I would advise them to use WordPress because that's what I've tried, what I use, and I like it, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Evaristus. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening and talk to you in the next episode.